Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning into Hear My Voice Women's Network event series for the World Day of Social Justice on this February the 20th. This theme for this year's World Day of Social Justice is a call for social justice in the digital economy. Today, we're going to be speaking to Pia Conradsen, who is a program associate for Ajar Bangladesh, which is a nonprofit human rights NGO that works to increase the capacity of local actors and victims towards building cultures based on accountability and justice, and to fight against entrenched impunity in Asia. Previously, Pia worked for various organizations in Bangkok, including UNESCO, and she organized programs on education for sustainable development with youth across the globe. Pia has spent 2 years coordinating Ajar's program in the Rohingya refugee camps in Cox's Bazar. She facilitates workshops on human rights and transitional justice using participatory approaches with post-conflict survivors and grassroots communities. So thank you so much, Pia, for joining us today. We're very lucky to have you speak with us on the topic of social justice. So before I hand it over to you, I'd like to start with our first question, which is, what does social justice mean to you, and why is it important to include women in social justice initiatives?
Thanks so much, Evelyn. And I just want to start by thanking both you and Lauren and the team at Hear My Voice for including me. I feel really honored and privileged to talk with you today. So thank you again. And I'm glad that we can be doing this online even during these circumstances too. So the question is, what is social justice? For me, it can be many things. You know, there are so many social justice issues that people are working for, including climate change, freedom of belief, same-sex marriage, racism, so many things. But I think for me, underlying this is also the fact, and under this definition, is that it's a right. It's an inalienable right that all of us have. I've been thinking about how in the past, and now even in the 21st century, as we have so much rapid development happening, a lot of people are starting to miss out on this right, and they're getting left behind. And it's creating so much inequality in so many different sections of our society. So social justice, I think, is about equality, achieving equality, and working towards closing those gaps in a lot of those different issues that I just mentioned. And the second part of your question is about why it's important to include women in these. And underneath social justice is also gender inequality too. And, you know, women, we are half of the world's population, and we're not being represented as we should. We're not being given equal opportunities or as many abilities to address these challenges. And I believe that if we can empower at least half of the world population, then we are also improving social justice in all of those areas. Because by empowering women, we are also working towards social justice issues. We are bringing more perspectives into the discussion. We are bringing more talent and also strengths into these initiatives too.
Thank you so much, Pia, for that insightful response into what social justice means to you and why is it important to include women. I really appreciated your reflection on achieving equality and closing the gaps that remain and using women's input to do so. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. My next question for you today is, what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a woman working in social justice? And perhaps how do you address these challenges, maybe personally or in the workplace?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think that's a really great question, especially because there are so many challenges, but focusing on a few of them. And as you mentioned at the beginning, I work for the human rights NGO called Asia Justice and Rights, or AJAR for short. And our team are working mainly with Rohingya survivors inside the camps in Bangladesh. And just for those who are tuning in and may not be aware of the context, the Rohingya are an ethnic minority from Myanmar, and after conflict broke out it's been happening for decades, but mass conflict in 2017, now there are almost 1 million living inside the refugee camps in Bangladesh. So we're working with the survivors inside the camps to strengthen their capacity as human rights defenders, using initiatives like trauma healing, teaching basic human rights, truth-telling activities, and activities on accountability and justice. And so while there are so many challenges that I want to mention today, I also think it's important to mention that what we are also learning is that women are so incredibly resilient. While we can experience hardships in different ways than men, because of increased vulnerabilities that come out of conflict situations, we are also trying to uncover these strengths and show that women can be leaders and not just weak and vulnerable members of society too. And there are so many Rohingya women activists already inspiring thousands of not only women inside the camps but around the globe too. But despite these efforts, I think what I have seen is, in this context, one of the biggest challenges is probably the gender roles and norms and stereotypes that are still existing in the community. Men are mainly holding leadership positions, the ones who are mainly able to socialize outside of the home, and women are traditionally being kept out of leadership roles and not given equal opportunity. So this is one of the challenges that we are facing, and it's not exactly an easy one to overcome because there are so many layers to it. And I think social justice workers have identified this challenge for a very long time, and it's one that we're all working towards closing that. But for us, what we've found is that when we are working with women, we are vicariously reaching out to the men as well. So we are seeing that when we work with the women, they are talking to their husbands more. Their husbands are being exposed to the work that we are doing. And they're actually becoming more increasingly understanding of the importance that it is to empower women, to teach them about leadership, to teach them about their human rights. And through that, I believe that when we talk with the women and we do these initiatives with them, it's also reaching out to the male members in their society to help break some of these stereotypes and thinking that women cannot be holding these leadership roles. So I think that, women's voices, their priorities, their ideas and leaderships is definitely something that need to be further elevated. And while these barriers still exist, these gender norms, these stereotypes, we won't be able to achieve social justice. So let's work towards it.
Great. Thank you so much again, Pia, for your comments in response to this question. It's really inspirational to hear about the work that you are doing and to hear about the resiliency that you're seeing in these women that you have had the chance to work alongside. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's great to hear stories of social justice and ways to overcome these challenges that we face as women working in social justice. So I thank you for taking the time today to talk to us about that. And again, just thank you so much for all the amazing work that you do. And to all of our listeners that are tuning in and seeing this interview, we encourage you to check out more of Ajar's work if you are interested in this area of social justice. And to continue to look on our Facebook page for other social justice efforts that are going on around the world. And thank you again for joining in on the World Day of Social Justice. Thanks, everyone, and bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.